Hi everyone, I'm attorney Aiden Durham with 180 Law Co. in Denver, Colorado, and welcome back to All Up in Your Business. So we have been spending this week talking about online businesses and what you need to start a business and start making money online, primarily when you can't leave your house in light of the coronavirus, COVID-19 pandemic, and all of these stay-at-home orders. Everyone's staying at home, and a lot of people are losing their jobs or losing large sources of their income and are going to the internet to try to replace that income by starting some kind of an online business. So in this episode, we're going to go over a few of the legal must-haves for any online business. But before we get started, please be sure to like, subscribe, and share. And don't forget to check the description for some links and additional resources and information. So there are a handful of things that any online business should have to protect itself and be compliant legally speaking. A couple of these things we've already talked about this week. The first, of course, is terms and conditions or terms of use or terms of service for your website. Regardless of the type of website you're running or the nature of the website, every website and every online business needs some form of terms of service or terms and conditions on the website. And like I talked about in the previous video, the terms and conditions is like your agreement with your website visitors about what they can do and can't do on your website. Similarly to the terms and conditions is some kind of a disclaimer. It's pretty common for this to be included in the terms and conditions of the website. Sometimes it's on like the footer of the website or in a different spot. But this is especially important if your website or your online business involves giving advice or advising people on what to do or actions to take. Because what the disclaimer does is it helps to assure people who are coming to your website that this information or the advice that they're taking shouldn't be relied on and they really can't come back to you for that advice that they take. So if you have that kind of a nature of a website, if you're like an online coach or a consultant or a lawyer or another kind of professional where you give professional advice, having a disclaimer on your website or included in your terms and conditions is a good way to protect your professional liability or your business's liability. In addition to the terms and conditions and the disclaimer, a privacy policy is the next big must-have for any online business. We talked about privacy policies in the last episode in a bit more detail, but the gist of it, the overarching idea is if you collect any kind of information, whether it's name, email, or behavioral information like from analytics or any other kind of plugin for your website, then you need to have a privacy policy telling your website visitors what kind of information you collect, how you collect it, why you collect it, and how you use it. Another legal must-have for your online business, now this one applies primarily if you're doing like online courses or if you have some kind of a membership service or a subscription service. If you're offering some kind of online service like a course or something that people have to additionally sign up for or additionally pay for, then it's a really good idea to have an online course agreement, membership agreement, subscription agreement, whatever the nature of your business is, having a separate agreement for that. Now, you can include these agreement terms in your terms and conditions for your website. That's pretty common, but depending on the situation, it might be better to have a separate agreement that people click or acknowledge to agree to before they purchase your online course or sign up for your membership or your subscription. And now how this is going to differ from just your normal terms and conditions or your normal terms of service for your website, this agreement is going to be specific to the terms for the online course or the membership. So these will typically go into a little bit more detail about like payment terms for their purchase, if there's recurring or ongoing payments. And again, most importantly, this agreement is going to protect your intellectual property and the content that is in your online course or that you provide to your members or your subscribers. Your course agreement or this online agreement is going to help to prevent people from just copying your content or spreading your content without your consent. Your online course agreement is also going to cover more things that your terms and conditions wouldn't, like refunds or guarantees if people purchase your online course or sign up for your service and they're not happy with it. How are you going to handle refunds? Management of their membership accounts. If someone doesn't pay for one of their monthly subscriptions, how are you going to handle canceling or suspending or terminating their account? Particularly with like online master classes or online courses, if you're going to be doing like Zoom chats or group chats where people's video or photos will show up, or if after coronavirus this whole thing passes, if you're going to do in-person live events or seminars, then this course agreement is also going to let you use the photos, the likeness, the images and videos of your participants or your attendees. That's a pretty common clause in many online course agreements, is a release of their photos and videos, so you can then use them in your social media or your marketing materials and for other promotional purposes. And then the last legal must-have for any online business is insurance. Insurance is really a legal must-have for every business in general. There's really no reason and no excuse not to have insurance coverage for your business. I don't care if you can't afford to form an LLC. I don't care if you can't afford to get a trademark. None of that matters as much as insurance does, because insurance is going to be your very first line of defense if something comes up. It's not going to protect you legally in the sense that an LLC would. So if you have insurance coverage for your business, but you're operating as a sole proprietor, you're still going to be personally responsible for any legal issues or any liabilities, except your insurance coverage is going to pay for anything that has to be paid for your legal representation, for any damages that you might have to pay. So even though you are responsible for it, you're not actually paying anything out of pocket, because that's what the insurance coverage is for. And insurance comes in a variety of shapes and sizes, and exactly what kind of coverage or what kind of policy you need depends very much on your business. But a general liability policy is going to be the first thing to ask about if you speak to your insurance agent. Ask about general liability insurance. This is just going to cover any general liabilities that you have. If you are an online seller, if you have any kind of inventory or product at your house, then inventory insurance or some kind of coverage for the actual physical products, that's going to be something you'll want to look into as well. And then potentially, depending on, again, the nature of your business and what you have in your office at home, it's a good idea to look into your existing property coverage, whether it's renter's insurance or homeowner's insurance, and make sure any of your business assets, so your desk, your computer, any of your business stuff that you use, make sure that's going to be covered under those existing policies, or what you need to change to make sure your assets, your business equipment is going to be protected if there's, a fire or a flood or something like that. So legally speaking, starting a business, specifically an online business from your house when you can't leave your house, is relatively easy. Like we discussed already, you can do pretty much everything online, from forming the LLC, getting the EIN, and opening up a bank account. All of that can be done online. And as long as you're paying attention and taking close care of making sure all of your legal ducks are in order too, then an online business like this can be a fantastic way to replace the income that you've lost or supplement it temporarily if needed. That's all for this episode, folks. Drop a comment below and let me know what you think. And be sure to check back tomorrow. In tomorrow's episode, I'm going to talk about some of the tools tools that you need for your online business. So this isn't going to be legal related or law related. This is going to be talking about some of the tools that I personally have used and have experienced with, and then some of the tools that I'm familiar with that you should use or that you'll want to look into to properly run your online business. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm Aiden Durham, and I'll see you next time.